Good morning and welcome to Football League World TV. My name's Ned Holmes and this is the EFL betting show. Today I'm joined by my colleague Billy Mulley and we'll be looking to find you some real value in what's really a bumper weekend of EFL action. Of course, games on Easter Friday today, that is, and Easter Monday. How are you doing this morning, Billy?
Yeah, doing very well, as you say. A bumper weekend of EFL action. I'm really looking forward to selecting a few picks here and seeing if I get any luck.
Absolutely. Before we get started, of course, a reminder to please gamble responsibly, 18 and over. Also, please do give this video a like and subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube. And if you have got any bets sort of going for today's game or indeed Monday's games as well, then please do let us know what you think is going to happen. Well, it'll be a familiar format if you've ever seen the EFL betting show before, that there are just two of us, but we will both be running through our bankers, ACCAs, value bets, and wild cards. So, Billy, do you want to kick us off with your banker?
Yeah, my banker, it could be quite a decisive one in terms of the complex of the League Two table, but it's Leyton Orient to beat Scunthorpe, and I believe I was doing some calculations. I think Scunthorpe will get relegated, could get relegated today. And definitely could do by Monday as well. So it's a massive weekend for them if they are going to mount any sort of great escape. But I just can't see anything like that happening. They've lost their last 6, picked up 2 points from a possible 33. Everything is pointing towards a Leyton Orient win here. And whilst Leyton Orient have been inconsistent this season, I think this selection is more of a reflection on Scunthorpe and how poor their season has been. But there are positive signs at Leyton Orient, and we speak about teams already being on their holidays, but I don't think Leyton Orient are that kind of side, especially now they've got a new manager, something to build towards. That they've shown particularly at home this season that they can be devastating. I think this can be the kind of fixture that they take full advantage from. And 9-20, I think that this is quite good value as well as a banker.
Yeah, hard to disagree there, certainly. And I think you're right about the Leyton Orient players not being on holiday. I think Richie Wellens runs a fairly tight ship in East London. Well, my banker is also down in League Two, and it's Forest or draw against Barrow at 1-4, £5 returns, 6.25. Barrow obviously dropped off of late, losing 3 on the bounce. No win at home since December. In fact, their only win since February is against Scunthorpe, who are obviously destined for the drop. Forest Green, they've sort of been grinding out results. Obviously, a bit of a slight wobble last week, but it's evens on a Forest Green win, which I think's good value as well. But as it's the banker, I've added the draw in there because I really can't see Barrow winning this one. So it's Forest Green or draw at 1-4, £5 returns, £6.25. What's your accumulator then, Billy?
Okay, so I'm starting with Leyton Orient to beat Scunthorpe as my banker selection, including that one in. Then I'm also sticking in League Two for Exeter to beat Colchester. Exeter are in top form at the moment, 20 points from their last 8 games, unbeaten in those 8 games too, averaging 2.07 points per game at home as well this season. Really, really enjoying their football at the moment, and they do look a level above the sort of capitalised on Forest Green's patchy form over the last couple of months to really impose themselves and to get within touch and distance of that top place. So it's going to be definitely exciting to see how that pans out in terms of the rest of the season. But Exeter to beat Colchester here, 4-6 as an individual selection. Colchester's showing not too many signs that they're going to cause what would be a little bit of an upset. And moving across, sticking with League Two, but Harrogate and Swindon, both teams to score. I'm just looking at these games that they're both, Harrogate, 65%, I think it was, of their home games, both teams have scored, and Swindon are similarly as high, and Swindon still chasing their respective objective, and Harrogate have, shown real good signs of attacking prowess this season. So that looks like a game that's going to, hopefully for me in this selection, bring about the goals. And also I've got Preston versus Millwall, both teams to score, which as an individual selection is a little bit higher at 1-1, but Preston scored a lot of goals at home this season. Millwall, looking at their away games, both teams have scored, I think it was at 60%, so quite a high percentage for away games. And again, we've got Millwall as the away side chasing their respective objective, which is the playoffs, and looking in really good form. But it's hard to see a way that they'll keep a clean sheet against the Preston attack that, you know, has shown lots of promise, especially during the second half of the season. All four of those I've got at 7.05 to 1.
Yes, it certainly looks like some good value there, and an accumulator that could certainly come in. Well, I've got a threefold. Mine is 8.88 to 1. Obviously starts with Forest Green beating Barrow. I've gone for the clean win in that one. And then, unfortunately, I know you're off to Kenilworth Road, Billy, but I've got Forest to beat Luton. I mean, I just think Steve Cooper's side are such a roll right now. I think there's a real belief there that they can catch Bournemouth, and they've just been, you know, pretty unstoppable of late. They obviously say don't bet on the early kickoff. That's a bit of a mantra, but I couldn't resist, given looking at this one, and I just really couldn't resist going for Forest. And then I've got Coventry to beat Birmingham. I think, you know, Birmingham very little to play for, whereas Coventry last weekend's win against Fulham really sort of, I think, perhaps reignited the confidence that maybe they could sneak into those playoffs. And I think Mark Robinson's side will know they sort of have to be perfect or near perfect over the next 5 games if they are to do that. And that obviously starts today at Birmingham. And I just fancy them to come away with a result. So that's Forest Green to beat Barrow, Forest to beat Luton, and Coventry to beat Birmingham, a threefold that returns that's at 8.88 to 1. £5 returns 51.92 on Bet365. We come to the value bet then, Billy. This is obviously the one where we think we can, you know, we've sort of found a selection that where we perhaps know maybe a bit more than bookies, and can get people a bit of money. Well, what have you gone for?
Yeah, well, it's probably the first time that the value bet has probably been just over evens, but it's the game that you've been talking about already. Forest Green to beat Barrow at 21 to 20, and I just felt that above evens for Forest Green, who have been a level above for the vast majority of the season, to beat a side that have been in poor form and seemingly getting roped into this sort of relegation battle. It just seemed like too good to ignore. I was close to going for Forest as well against my own club, but I don't think that would have gone down too well if there were any Luton fans listening. But I eventually went for Forest Green, and again, more a reflection on Barrow. I think lost their last 4, showing no immediate signs of improvement under Phil Brown. They're obviously well within this relegation scrap, and playing against the league leaders is never going to be the easiest task in the world. Forest Green have lost once away all season. They've particularly shone away from home, and they've just thrived against teams near the bottom of the table. 9 wins, a draw, and no losses against teams in the bottom 6. So they have proved to be very dominant against sides that are currently fighting to try and survive League 2. So at 21 to 20, maybe not the best return in the world, but still I can see some value in that.
Absolutely. I'm up in League One for my selection, and that's Accrington to beat Burton Albion at 19 to 20. If you've watched the EFL betting show before, you'll have heard us lambast our previous decisions for betting against sort of Accrington at home, and talk up their fortunes well betting on them at home, and I just think nearly evens on them against a Burton side that are in poor form anyway, and have been pretty dreadful on the road this season. It is pretty good odds to be honest. So that's Accrington to beat Burton at 19 to 20. £5 returns £9.75. We come to our final selections this week. It's the wild card. It's fair to say, Billy, my fairly wild card last week, including Ryan Woods and sort of Tiger Woods, didn't really come in. But have you got something that's maybe got its feet slightly more on the ground this week?
Well, this one, it was the most difficult one this week. I changed it twice. I first had Fulham to win 7-0, given the sort of form they've shown this season. When they've had a disappointing result, they've bounced back brilliantly away from home twice. So yeah, I opted against that in the end, and I went for Luton versus Nottingham Forest, both teams to score in both halves. Nottingham Forest, we've been singing their praises all morning. A brilliant outfit. I think I said to you before the show that they probably at the moment are the most daunting team to play. That's even including Fulham and Bournemouth, the top two. So they are just in unstoppable form. Going forward, they are brilliant. Keenan Davis, the sort of physicality and link-up play he brings. Brennan Johnson, just there's not enough superlatives to describe how he's playing at the moment. And defensively, they have a couple of issues, which I think Luton could capitalise on. Luton typically don't play too badly 2 games in a row. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. Adebayo as well, when he hasn't been at his best, he's still a massive threat with his physicality and aerially speaking, and in terms of being at the right place in the right time as well. I just feel that there's going to be goals in this game. And the second one that I've combined this with is Bournemouth versus Middlesbrough. Again, both teams to score in both halves. And similar, I think it's going to be quite an open affair. Bournemouth going forward as well. Very, very strong. And we all know the options that Chris Wilder has at his disposal at Middlesbrough. If the original starting 2 don't perform too well, then he's got typically 3 strikers that can come on and make a difference. And that's been a theme all season. I think we're getting to the crunch end of the season and stuff's the division is getting quite competitive. And while sometimes it can go one way and lead to 0-0 draws, I think it's going to go the other. And hopefully we get some goal fests this weekend. And looking at that, they're both individually 16-1, but as a double, you can get that at 288-1.
God, wow. Certainly some big numbers this week, and I think you're probably right there in sort of those games will go to further toward the goals. Particularly, you'd think if Forest can win that early kickoff, then the pressure will really be on Bournemouth, and they might want to go out there and make a statement. My wild card is slightly less exciting than that, and certainly more boring than I went for last week. But I've just got a gut feeling that Stoke City against Bristol City is going to end as a draw, but a score draw. You can get that 4-1 on Bet365. The Robins have obviously been poor for the most part, but they sort of had pretty impressive performances scattered throughout that they usually enjoy trips up to the Potteries, and I really fancy them to cause Michael O'Neill's side some problems. Obviously, Stoke have been a little inconsistent themselves and may just struggle. And I just think with the imbalance between Bristol City's weak defence and some fairly dangerous players going forward, I think we could have goals in this one. So a score draw for me. That's Stoke versus Bristol City and BTT. Both teams to score yes at 4-1. So £5 returns £25. Well, that is everything from us on the EFL betting show today. Please remember to gamble responsibly, 18 plus only. That's everything from me and Billy, as I say, but there is still some stuff on Football League World TV. At 10:45, it's the EFL Bank Holiday Weekend preview show with Alfie Burns, Marcus Alley and Adam Jones. So certainly one that you're going to want to tune into. That just leaves me to say thanks, Billy, and thanks everyone for watching.